What's up, guys? This is episode 8 of It's Still Our City. Sure Hand Signs. Ross. This dude's a sweetheart. This guy's amazing, hardworking motherfucker, and he's done a lot for our town and a lot for local businesses. He cares. He's genuine, and he's one of us. If you're like-minded with me, you're most definitely like-minded with him. He's got your back. This was a super fun interview. Every single couple that I know in this goddamn town definitely took a photo in front of his Richmond greetings, and he maneuvered it and adapted to it and upgraded it, for lack of better expression. And most recently it got covered up. Kind of fucking weird. This dude's a hardworking person. He's a really kind person. He's a badass. This was a lot of fun for me. But yeah, episode 8 of It's Still Our City. It's produced by Notterly. It's brought to you by RVA Magazine. I hope you guys dig this. And shout out to the number one old man, Kevin. You will be missed, my man. Motherfucking number one old man, Kevin. Okay. All right, so we're here with Ross, aka Sure Hand Signs.
Hello.
What's up, dude?
Hey, how's it going?
How are you?
Good.
Yeah, I feel like we've already covered some stuff accidentally. We may have to go back
Yeah,
over
no,
it,
no
and
worries.
that's my fault. So where are you from? How long have you been in Richmond, man?
My dad was in the Air Force, so I kind of lived all over the place, but my whole extended family, for the most part, is from Richmond. And I have been really back here since I came here for college in 2000 and was here for 4 years and lived in DC for like 2.5.
Okay, so you were here for VCU.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was a painting major at VCU. So
Okay. So you'd mentioned that you were in Northern Virginia for a while. What other spots were you in, like hopping around when Dad was like? How extensive
when I was a
is
kid.
that? Were you ever in a spot where it was like only a few months and then you had to go somewhere else?
No, I was always there for at least like a year or two. I spent a lot of I was in Northern Virginia twice, kind of like elementary school and high school. I was in Montana for a few years. That was probably the coolest place.
So the first time you were younger and then you went to Montana and then came back?
Yeah, I went to like Montana, Pennsylvania, and then back to the suburban sprawl. Yeah, I've lived a bunch of places. I lived in like Belgium when I was really little.
Whoa, do you have memories of that?
Yeah, just barely. But I have a few.
So what would have been in Northern Virginia for your dad, like Air Force stuff? What was?
He was in the Pentagon.
Okay.
The first time, and then he was at the Pentagon and the State Department for a little while. He was in like missiles. So
Shit.
he wanted to be a pilot, and his eyesight wasn't very good. So he couldn't be a pilot, and was like, I don't know, I guess I'll do this. And then and that was like right before the Cold War. So it ended up working out really well for him because he had plenty of stuff to do.
And he got to live.
Yeah, it was cool. He was in when I was in high school, he was in Switzerland for like 6 months out of every year, negotiating this treaty. So I'd go out there and go snowboarding with him for like a week and then come back to school.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah.
That sounds super sick. That also reminds me of the Trailer Park Boys, Bubbles. He always wanted to be a CDL freight truck driver, and his vision was fucked. So he couldn't do it. It hurts my heart. Okay, so and you said Fairfax.
Yeah. I lived in Burke. So they're all literally the
It's
same.
all the same shit. Like everything after exit 130.
Yeah, I worked in Fairfax because that's where the skate shops were, but I lived in the Burke Springfield area.
How old are you?
43.
43? Okay, I'm about to be 41 tomorrow. Where are you at now?
I think I'm 45.
You think? Yeah.
I think.
I think I've asked you this like 3 times on here too.
Yeah,
and I'm sorry.
I might be at that point where you stop counting.
I have to really think about it
Yeah.
at the time.
It's not important
Half
after
the time I say the wrong number.
Yeah.
It's not important after 25. Like I wanted nothing more than to be able to rent a car, and then after that,
yeah, totally.
none of them fucking matter anymore. So you started doing skate shop stuff. So like you seem, I mean, obviously you're a very creative person. When did you start like getting into skateboarding and art and all this, all the things that you're into?
I mean, I was always relatively into art, skateboarding and whatnot. Happened kind of in like middle school. Like I found like skateboarding and punk rock at the same time, and that kind of made me start to think that maybe I could just like continue to do like art stuff and not necessarily like for, you know, I always had plans of like, I'm going to do this. Like I really wanted to do like computer programming stuff. And I'm terrible at math. I would be absolutely miserable.
What the hell in your brain was like computer
Well,
programming?
I was good with computers because like I, you know, came around like right at the time where
They
they
were
did.
coming
So
out.
like if you just knew how to use them, like people were like, oh wow, that's crazy. And then yeah, for a while I was really wanted to be like a graphic designer, and I did that for a while. After college, I worked like pre-press for a .com that does like t-shirt design stuff.
Cool.
But I was all like self-taught with that stuff, other than like high school classes, because like I went to VCU and took painting. So yeah.
I gotta send you. I keep putting it off on sending you too, but I'll send you some stuff that my brother's been doing lately. Yeah, he's all self-taught. It's fucking crazy. I don't understand. Like he just got good at it. He got like obsessed with like editing and videos and music and just the shit that he can do. It's insane to me. And he never went to school for that. Like he went to school for theater. That was just like his nerd alert thing.
Yeah.
The same thing happened with me. Like I got hired by this company. I was like just a composer or musician, you know, I'd write songs and record them, and they're like, let's hire you and you can like use your songs in some of our projects. And then they're like, hey, we want to edit video. Do you know how to edit video? And I didn't. I was like, yeah.
Did you? But
sure.
you said yes, I do.
I
and
said
you
yes,
didn't?
I do.
Oh,
Yeah.
Of course,
and then I
you
dove
have
into
to.
YouTube.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
years later, I was like their head editor or whatever, you know.
Fake it to make it, baby.
Just do it.
I pretty consistently tell people that like the thing I got from like my 4 years of like art school at VCU was just how to like fake hype myself up and argue with people. You know what I mean? Like, like I got really good at being like, no, you don't understand. I am actually worth this amount of money. I got that at VCU. Nice. Didn't learn anything about painting. Like nothing.
But you went 4 years, and what was the major that you were coming in on? What were you?
Painting and printmaking.
Painting and printmaking.
Yeah.
Okay. And then and you graduated, and that's all good.
Yeah, I graduated, and then as I was graduating, I got an apprenticeship to tattoo.
Oh, whoa, okay.
So I tattooed for like 8 or 9 years.
Thank
altogether.
you for saying that, because I see that so boldly, for lack of better expression, in your stuff, and I always wondered if you did.
Yeah.
So all right. So what were the years where you were tattooing?
Man, it was.
Do you still have your machines?
No, not really.
No?
A little bit. I tipped most of them away to other, like to people that have tattooed me since, because once
smart.
I kind of hit a point where I was like, I tried to like do both for a little while, and you gotta put your all into one thing, I think.
Before we started all this, like I keep having to ask Ross to stop talking to me because we're covering too much fun ground before the red light is on. But so you were tattooing in Richmond. Any certain shop or artist you want to shout out, or
like everybody at Salvation.
oh, thank goodness. Okay.
Yeah,
so that's how you know Ken Brown.
Yeah, and
Through
I've known
James.
Yeah, and known James forever. I've known
Shout out James
Fred
Cumberland. That dude is amazing.
Fred and Katie for a million years. Because I worked with Fred and Katie at Enigma a million years ago. I was the shop kid over there and apprentice. I apprenticed under Jesse Smith that has Loose Screw.
Yeah, cool, awesome.
At the time, and then he went to do his thing, and I kind of followed Fred and Katie around until I was done, and then I worked in like a series of street shops all over the place. In Richmond, like I've worked in most of the shops, but I spent a lot of time at True. I worked a couple days a week at Salvation for a few years, and when I stopped tattooing, I was working at Lucky 13 because I could. They were super, super awesome with letting me work like 3 days a week and just kind of just take walk-ins, because I kind of hit a point where it was like I was drawing so much for tattooing, and then when I started doing signs and that started picking up, it was like now I've got all these drawings I have to do for signs that people want and drawings I have to do for tattoos, and I had to kind of pick one because both jobs require so much time when you're not actually doing the job of like getting ready, you know? And it was just like, man, I was like running out of time. I was going into the tattoo shop at like 4:35 in the morning and like doing sign stuff until noon when they opened, and then working all day, and it was wild. So
That's fucking too much.
yeah.
I was in between jobs for a while, and Kenny let me work like the shop, like desk stuff at Jack Brown's Tattoo Revival in Fredericksburg. And it was a weird job. It's a very weird job. And like you have to like try to be nice sort of when people are just giving you these horrible ideas. And then it's like a guy that comes in and he's like, I want a dollar sign and a pentagram, but like on my forehead. And it's like, you don't even have any other tattoos. And you're like, what the fuck? There's a guy that came in there one day, looked like he just got out of Rappahannock Regional Jail. There's something weird about him. He's like looking through books. He grabs Kenny's book and he's like, I want this guy to tattoo. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. We can start setting it up. It's a 3-month wait. He didn't understand that. Like he wanted like instant gratification. I'm like, well, what are you looking to do? You know, he's really good. If you like it and you're committed to this, definitely choose him as the artist. And he's like, I want beautiful baby's breath all over my chest. And I'm like, what in the fuck? Like, you're weirding me out, dude. And I'm like, I'm thinking of like a baby doll head and like some sort of way to like have smoke or like, I thought he was a fucking pervert freak asshole. And I'm like, all right, dude, get the fuck out of here. And he's like, what do you mean? He's like getting all offended. He's like, I just want beautiful baby's breath. He's like unbuttoning his shirt and he's got like greasy gray and black like chest hair. And I'm like, dude, get the fuck out of the shop. So I just start like shoving him out like a bouncer. And then Kenny comes around and he's like, why are you about to fight this guy? I'm like, this guy's a sicky fucky. Like, this dude's fucked, man. He wants baby's breath. He's like, oh yeah, the flower. And I'm like, I didn't know it was a fucking flower, dude. I thought he meant like mist or like it was
like this guy's twisted.
Yeah, this guy's fucked. Okay, yeah, so
Okay.
when did you start triangulating on like signs is what you wanted to do?
Probably, I mean, almost 15 years ago now, I guess. And it really was, it was like kind of around the the beginnings of like Instagram and stuff really happening. And I stumbled on a guy who painted a lot of signs for tattoo shops. I'd always really liked hand painted signs, and like even like when I was in art school, a lot of my paintings kind of referenced it. But I saw this kid that.
Well, wait a second. So when you say they referenced it, do you mean like you would like paint something or draw something, and if there was like buildings of significance, you would like make the signs really cool in the background?
No, I was doing like, you know, VCU art school semi-abstract bullshit. So it was like a lot of, you know, paint smears, some painted letters. There are a few old like Ed Ruscha and a few other like fine artists that come from like sign painting backgrounds would like work in like painted letters with, you know, the shadows and that kind of thing. So it always really interested me.
Okay, like depths. It's something.
Yeah, and like because I painted a lot of graffiti a long time ago. And that's kind of what got me into a lot of the things that I'm into.
Like you did graffiti.
Yeah.
Cool.
But like that, it kind of like seeing this guy posting a bunch of signs on Instagram for tattoo shops where I worked, and I was like, oh, these are really cool. And then at one point he had posted like a picture of like an old like freight train that he had painted, and I was like,
oh, that's sick.
It was like one of those things where I was like, oh, I was as good as that guy. And then I was like, I wonder if I could do this.
Do that better.
Because I did like kind of stopped. When I started tattooing, that kind of took over. I generally I always have one thing I like. Like that's the way like it's always been. It's like, oh, skateboarding, oh, graffiti, oh, riding bikes. Like I can never find enough time to do multiple things because I want to do one thing all the time.
Yeah, you're hyper focused.
And so I started.
With that being said, be completely transparent and honest. Did you ever do a tattoo where you were like, fuck, that one sucked?
Tattoos?
Yeah.
I don't know about
too
like
much time.
at the time that I was doing them, but like tattooing, just like anything else, it's very interesting to like look at what you did like 2 years ago and be like, you know, like I'm better, you know, and like I mean, you don't say that,
No
but
way.
you notice it. I've got a job coming up soon where I was talking to the guy today, and it's like he was my first client that got like a big gold leaf window from me that like
cool.
somebody else had to talk me into doing because I'd been doing it like in the shop, small scale for a while, and a friend of mine, Gibbs, that's up in Philly, was like, he had been offered this job, didn't have time for it, and was like, just go fucking do it. He was like, you're going to be fine. Just go do it. You're going to, you're going to fuck up on your way through it, but like you'll figure it out and you'll get it done. And I had to do it overnight, which kind of worked out as a blessing because I was like entirely by myself in this place in DC, with this window. So every time that like I almost gave up, nobody was around to see me going like, what am I doing?
Pacing back and
But
forth.
I did get it all done, and it does. I mean, it still looks good. But like, I told him today, I was like, yeah, it's been 10 years. This one's going to be better. Like, I've learned a few things in 10 years.
Yeah.
So like the signage stuff though, like was there a moment where like maybe you like made a gift for someone or something like that where you're like, fuck, and someone's like, dude, you absolutely killed that. You should do that more? Or it was just
no, but
already...
I mean, kind of the whole thing was that way because like I started messing around with like the idea of painting signs, which was pretty much just me buying like some cheap sheet metal and painting like tattoo shop signs, and like I would paint one and then a week later I'd strip it down and I'd paint it again. And I was just doing it like at my tattoo station when it was slow. And that turned into, I guess my first like real customer was Tech Exchange, which is like next door to Salvation.
Cool.
Because they were opening and needed signs, and like I painted, my first like real commercial signs.
So what year was the Tech? When did you do the Tech Exchange one?
That was probably 2013.
Okay, and they're still up and going, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're still there.
Cool.
They have like a big lit sign now, but it's based off the stuff that I designed for them like
Cool.
15 years ago. The first signs I painted for them were on like finished grade plywood that I like sealed up, but they like melted, over the course of like 3 years. So I just made new ones and like brought them by the shop and was like, hey, like.
Oh, okay. Well, that's really
like,
nice.
Here's some
nice.
new. I mean, you gotta.
So when you say
have
they
to stand by, you're gonna make mistakes and you gotta fix them.
But see, I think that's also like a low key tattoo mentality that you have there too, where like you do something from forever ago, you just throw in a touch up here and there. Like usually good tattoo artists like want to do that and will do that. Throw them a tip. So that's kind of cool. Closer,
Like
further.
Yeah, there you go.
So like when you said that the sign like melted, you put it on a certain wood and then you kind of sealed everything. So what happened?
Basically, like water got underneath the paint and ate the wood. So like as the wood wasn't made to be exterior, like it's not, it wasn't exterior
so that's
grade.
something you didn't
Plywood
have
or
no
anything.
idea.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
At the time, I was just like, here's a smooth piece of wood. Like I'll seal the edges and everything, and it's
Good
a
to
sign,
go.
and
So, like-
it would have been fine inside, but not like hanging off the side of a building.
Yeah, and it's like getting fucking swollen from heat, and then getting all tight from cold.
Exactly, and I mean that's so much of what I do, like the stuff that really that's really important that I have learned over the years is just from like constantly trying to beat nature, because like anything you put outside, like everything wants to destroy it.
Yeah, figure out whatever
dude.
sort of like weatherproofing, options there
Yeah, well,
are.
and most of the things that you can do to like clear coats and sealants and that kind of thing, they all degrade faster than paint does, and like get bad. So it's really just a matter of like I was lucky enough to find a couple of like old timers that would give me advice and help me learn the proper things to use. And I mean all of that happened within the first like year and a half. I got through most of those issues to the point where at least I could be like, if I do this and this business stays open, this sign will still be here in 8 years.
You had like your go-to. You got your...
Yeah, so I only had a couple of those kind of things happen, like the Tech Exchange thing where, and like I said, like, I'm glad I only had a couple because I always replaced them for free, because at the heart of like me is like that I've been very successful, but I'm a terrible businessman. Like I'm always gonna be like, oh yeah, I should absolutely like fix this thing for free, even though people didn't ask me, and like surprise them with it or whatever. It's just like I'm not I've had one employee, and like I was trying to give him like half of everything all the time, and like still couldn't get anybody to do any work, and was finally just like, all right, like I'm just gonna hang out by myself.
It's hilarious. I mean, I run into some similar, or not similar, but I run into issues being like a creative. Yeah, it's like you get into the stuff because you want to do the creative stuff.
Yeah.
Like I never wanted to own a business. I just want to be able to write and record and do audio and video stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I love doing what I'm doing. I love working with people. I work with Mike Broth, the Night Owl.
Oh, cool.
He's like been a friend of mine since very, very early days of college. And we work at like basically the same speed. So it works out really well. So we collaborate on mostly murals, but like large scale stuff. And it's great because I can look at him and know that he's doing the exact same amount of work that I'm doing. So we just like, if we charge this much, I take half and he takes half. And it's just like, it's the easiest, best way to work. I never want to I don't want to take advantage of other people and their labor. And I'm a terrible capitalist. Like I'm not good at this because I'm not one. So, so yeah, it's always really interesting for me because I love like doing the work and I hate every other aspect of it. Yeah, it's great when it's easy, and we both have our own businesses. So it's just like, we just both like come and do the thing together, and I don't have to, like, I always felt guilty when I did have an employee if there wasn't work. So like I'd like end up giving away work that I kind of needed just to make sure that somebody else was getting paid, because like, it is real. Like, I mean, sometimes it's insane. Like January was like so busy. I didn't know what was happening, but then like next month I could get 2 jobs. And I never know what it's going to be like, you know. Luckily I've gotten like, between tattooing and this, I've gotten really good at like knowing that when it's good, save some of it.
Nice. Yeah,
that's a good call. So you actually did a commission for me for a gift for my family. I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago. And it was really interesting. Like you asked such specific, God fucking damn it, I'm saying every other fucking word.
It's okay, I'll take them out like I always do.
You were asking very specific questions, and I really appreciated that. And you were sort of asking about the landscape and, it's outside, okay. And then you asked for photos of the house, and then like out of nowhere, like you gave me like this, it's almost like you like scaled the house like someone now, they'll take a photo of someone's knee. Like I just got this done. Yeah. And my buddy took a photo. This is what Ken did on me. It's the last tattoo I got from Ken the year that he passed. And his partner, the Jack in Jack Brown Chance. Yeah. He's doing this one. Excuse me. And he just took a photo and like compared, and too far away from it. So he was able to kind of figure out how to size it based on the compare and contrast. And I almost feel like you did that with my parents' front yard, maybe. I don't know. But you like made these really awesome posts for it. And it was just so well done. And I was so appreciative. My mom fucking lost her mind. It was such a cool gift. And it was just like the address with a raccoon on it. My mom has a family of raccoons that she takes care of, and they constantly trip her on the front porch, and she feeds them like better than she feeds my dad, I think. But so like as far as like the weather resistant stuff, I remember you were like really in depth on understanding what it would be like, what kind of weather conditions, etc. And you put certain sealants on it, and I could see it. It's like got this cool gloss and like a seal to it, and the thing's holding up like a motherfucking champ. Nothing's happened to it. So other than the Tech Exchange sign, were there any other things that you did for a customer, for a commission, where like within like a matter of a few months, they're like, oh, this thing is fucked?
No, not really. I think that was the only one. And I don't think they even really, like by the time I had replaced it, I don't think they had fully noticed that anything was wrong.
You're being more judgmental,
Yeah, because I look at them when, and I still do it. Like I've done so many signs at this point, and I still, like, if I drive by, I'm gonna look and I'm gonna make sure that like it's still doing okay, and like I'll notice when things have faded some and that kind of thing. But for the most part, like,
do you ever find yourself like, do you actually do that where you're just like driving on the street and you're like, hold up, and you just park real quick and get out and you're like, let's see?
I don't park, but I'll like drive by.
Okay.
Like
who's this creep out there?
Yeah, Mike and I did a mural in Scott's Edition, kind of at the beginning of like what Scott's Edition is now. When they took the
is it now?
I don't know.
It's a loft apartment.
It's a weird playground.
One big loft apartment.
God.
But yeah, it's the old Coca-Cola bottling plant. It's called the Preserve now. It's like a apartment building. But we did this big, tall, like mural on canvas that's mounted on the wall there. And like it used to be heavily like there's like a big banner that says, you know, Scott's Edition, welcome to Scott's Edition or whatever it says. And it used to be yellow and it's like kind of just off white now. And like, you know, but everything else looks great and it all like kind of ages together. Like that's, you know, one of the little like adages that a lot of the sign painting people have been saying, you know, the last few years is that like paint fades and like vinyl dies. Because like, you know, some of my stuff definitely like you can tell it's been there for a while, but it kind of looks nice as it ages.
Yeah, it's charm.
Yeah, there's like an aesthetic to faded signs that people like.
Yeah.
No, of course.
You know, and they fade nicely, whereas like, you know, big stickers and that kind of thing just kind of crack and fall apart, and like, you know, I don't think anybody's ever going to romanticize like the vinyl signage, but maybe they will. I don't know.
I would only hope.
Yeah.
I was doing. We'll probably have to bleep this name, and especially after this story. But you need to. I'll need your help with this. But I was doing signs and repainting things with blackout. You got the minute mark on that. The guy who runs.
Okay.
And we did the sign when it was still in front of Elwood's.
Uh-huh.
And I remember was like livid, blackout. It's got to stay on this minute mark because I've said it 3 times like an asshole now. The owner wanted to use, what is the illegal, there is a metal or something in older paint that...
Lead.
Yeah.
Lead?
Lead.
Yeah, he wanted to use that type of painting. Or that type of paint. And we had to like mask up and do everything completely different. But Jesus Christ, that thing just shined perfectly.
Oh, yeah.
It was so cool.
Yeah.
And then they moved like a fucking year later.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that it would be cool if it'd make my job faster if those chemicals were still in paints, but I'd also probably be like even closer to dead. You know, because like it's like yeah, sometimes I'll come across the old cans of like leaded One Shot, and I have a pretty good collection of it, and I use it sometimes. You know, because I mean, if it's out of the reach of people, it can't really hurt them, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, this thing was on the roof.
But
So
like, I generally don't like using it because I get paint all over myself and all over my hands, and I put my paintbrushes in my mouth, and like, you know, like I don't need those chemicals either. And sometimes you just have to do 2 coats, man. It's okay. Like a lot of people that that I've worked with or that I know are always like kind of in a hurry to like get the job done as quickly as possible, which I am too. Like I love what I do, but like my least favorite thing is working. Like I just want to be like running around in the woods. Like I don't want to spend all day on a ladder, but I will. And most of the time with what I do, it's like, you know, I'll work a half day and then like I let everything dry and then come back the next day and it's like, so it's like, yeah, maybe that job took 2 days, but it took two half days. Like it's fine. And everybody else really wants to like, I'm going to do it all on Monday. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
it's just not how it works.
yeah. And I don't know. I mean, I like kind of splitting things up and breaking it up. It gives me more time to like, a lot of times, like I'll go home and then be like, oh man, you know what I should do tomorrow is like, you know, like gives me time to think about it.
Yeah, dude, you like let it soak in and then kind of hyper obsess and then like get pumped again and be like, hey, I can outdo myself by doing this if I try that.
Exactly. Because that's, I mean, so much of what, especially with sign painting, it's like, it's kind of the same as graffiti was, honestly. It's like, you know, 90% of the time you're just trying to impress the other people that do what you do because nobody else cares. Like nobody else notices all the little things. And like, you know,
it's the same for music.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely. Well, and like, so, you know, so many of the like signs and things I do, like I'll hit a point and like, I'll like call my wife and just be like, oh man, today's going terrible. Like this thing is messed up and like, this is weird. And I'll send her a picture and she'll be like, it looks fine.
It looks fucking
fantastic. And it's like,
fantastic.
yeah, no, I know it looks fine. But then like 2 hours later, I'll come home and be like, yeah, so I scraped the entire letter off and like started over, you know, and like, I'm sure I look insane, but at the end of the day, like I want the best stuff out there. And nobody else is going to like hold me to account for that. So
it's gotta be you. It's
yeah.
worst critic. And like, yeah, with me, like I'm doing an album right now, or I'm I'm doing vocals and like I'll listen to it the night of. I'm like, I sound like fucking dog shit on fire. Like, this is awful. And then I'll just like have a couple beers a couple days later and like, that's great. And all I need to do is tweak that one thing and just finesse it.
Yeah, I do
good.
like all the time where I'll like sit down, and be like, okay, today I'm going to draw all this stuff for this like big storefront that I have to do or whatever. And I'll sit there and draw for like 4 hours and be like, well, this all looks terrible. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do, like whatever. And I'll just be like, whatever, I'm just going to like, I'll go for a bike ride, like whatever. And I'll leave. And then like, I'll be like sitting on the couch later that night, like watching TV and like scribbling and then just be like, oh, that's it.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. You never know. Like sometimes I think when I try the hardest to like, do the real like I'm gonna draft up this whole like thing, that's when like it's not gonna work. And if I'm just like don't take it so seriously, you can
shit it out.
Yeah,
and it's brilliant. So all right, two dumb questions, maybe not dumb questions. What's the biggest project that you've had to work on? And I'm assuming you do stuff obviously outside of Richmond, but like what's the biggest project that you've had to do here that like someone that's listening to this can go out of the way maybe one day and like actually use their fucking turn signals and drive over there and find it and just take a peek?
Probably the biggest one was relatively recent. We redid like all of the signage on the old Ladiff warehouse where the furniture store was there.
Yeah.
In Shaco Bottom. And that one was wild because I forget. I think the top sign's like 130 feet wide or something it's taller than me. And like to do it, we had to take a boom lift all the way up. There's a big ledge, like with the wall above the ledge. So you had to take a boom up, clipped into the lift, and then climb over the railing and stand on the ledge. And then we'd like clip ourselves to the boom and we could paint 2 letters at a time from there before you had to then like unclip, do the whole thing, get back in, move 15 feet down. And
so
that was just
this lift was on the roof?
No, the lift was they had to shut down the street for 2 days.
Fucking hell. Okay.
So yeah, no, it was
that's stressful as shit.
It was the fifth story, like the very top of this building with like, and it runs right up next to the highway. So like, when you drive the highway across, you see the sign. But that was one of, I think, 9 large signs that we did there. So like we did it all the way around.
If you're coming back, that would be 95. That's like right before exit 74 where you'd be looking down, or is it after?
It's kind of like the junction where the downtown expressway dumps you out onto 95. So it's that looping like interchange right there.
So yeah, for the listeners, if you're ever coming back in the city on 95 northbound, I believe it's exit 74, like where all the shit gets crazy. Cool. That's awesome.
It was a really cool job and like just like a neat angle to be at. We actually did like 2 or a block back, kind of over where like Bottoms Up is too. We did like the Capital One Innovation Center or something. I don't know. It has a big like 1717 that goes like around the corner, which is the address, and then a Capital One logo. And it's like whatever work, but it was really cool because we had to drive that boom lift under the train trestle and then like telescope it out and up between the train trestle and the building, because that was the only way to get to this wall. So we were hanging out there painting, and then like the trains would come out of Fulton Yard. And like you'd hear the signal and be like, oh, here they come. And like as soon as they hit their horns, they'd come around the corner, and you have to be like 10 feet away from the tracks with the boom. And we could not have been more than 10 feet away. Like we were like right there. So we'd be like sitting in the thing and we'd like take a break and like sit down, and then the engineers would come by at eye level and we'd like wave at each other, and they'd,
oh my God,
roll on down the line.
10 feet away thing, it's probably for like spikes. Wait, what were you going to say? I'm going to rip a piss. See what you're going to say.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, thinking about like business stuff, or how much of a chore is that to like a big job like that to figure out? I don't know if it's like a math equation that you have to like thumb through to like figure out how much paint you need or how much like product you need in order to get through it. It probably
should be for like a real like grown up. I think it probably is. For me, it's been just experience and trial and error. You know what I mean? I mean, the good thing is with like paint and supplies like that, it's like if you just go grab it the next day before you run out. You know what I mean? Like if you're halfway through and you're almost out of paint, you're like, okay, cool. Like I should bring more paint tomorrow. But yeah, a lot of it really has been just kind of trial and error and figuring out. But it's wild how most of the time, like I can, I'll estimate time, and I've never run over on like a time that I give someone. If I say it's going to be 3 days, I'm usually done in 2
That's
kind of thing.
good.
Like
Yeah, that's awesome.
always try and kind of pad it and make it, like worst case scenario.
Yeah, it's just in case something happens.
Yeah, and other than like weather and things like that I can't control, like that might delay us. But but yeah, it's been like pretty interesting how like over time you really do get kind of an idea of what is going to be necessary. You know, I always like joke with some of my friends that do this that like while our pricing does make sense, it's also very arbitrary in our heads because like, I most of the time it's just like I'm charging by like how much time I think it's going to take, kind of taking into like taking in like what the supplies will be, that kind of thing. And then there's like the do I want to do this job charge. So there's like it really is just kind of like there's no rule book for what we do anymore. It's been gone a long time. There aren't that many of us. So like, it really is like, I try and keep standards with the other people and like, especially the people that are in Richmond that still do it. That I know, like we've got a pretty good working repertoire where we're like, we don't undercut each other. Mm-hmm. Generally, if somebody is shopping around, I'm always the first one to be like, I'm not interested. Because like I've been doing it long enough that I really feel like if you want to hire me, hire me. Mm-hmm. If you want to see if I'm going to be cheaper than my friends, I'm not. And
I love that.
And I don't like the concept of like, it just creates this false competition that we don't need to have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because there's like 4 of us. It's like, fine, look at our books of things we do, find the one you like, hire that person. It's easy.
Yeah.
So, couple directions I want to go really quick. How many signs do you think you've done in this town?
I don't know at this point. At one point, like,
could you gauge
3 or 4 years in, I was like at like 95 businesses, like individual, actual like businesses. So probably 150, 180.
Okay.
And then, all of the like your mom and like, fun small projects.
He did my mom. So with that being said, you'd mentioned the night owl. What is that gentleman's name again? Mike. Okay. Shout out Mike. That dude's a very sweet person, and his wife and kid are fucking cool.
Yeah,
I got to meet them a few times through shout out Jim Callahan, the man, the myth, the legend, Barf.
Yep. We have known each other for a million years as well.
So one thing that's interesting is like you had mentioned earlier how friends just sort of like shoved you into the fire, like you can do it, just do it. That first DC job or whatever. And Mike, the night owl, is this hold on Instagram, did the same thing with Jim. He did that signage right as, again, if you're on 95 northbound and it's between mile marker 76 and 78, so Belvedere and Boulevard, on the right there at one point in time, like off of Lombardi, there was that building that Jim did a really fucking cool painting of just like weird trippy atmospheric green and pinks and like this weird like trippy highway thing, and he was being pulled on a skateboard
pulled by his dog.
By his dog Pizza.
Yep.
And so that recently got covered up. I believe it was 2021 where they covered it up with some bullshit ad. Yeah, Sharon. Well, let's not even say fuck them. But like the first panel of it's still there. So with that being said, you did something really important in this city, in my opinion. And I don't know if the ice cream business is still there. Is that ice cream?
No, they closed that one. They still exist. They're just over on Forest Hill at that spot where the Veil is.
And what is the name of that place?
Charm School.
Cool. So shout out to Charm School Ice Cream.
Charm School Social Club was that one, and I think the other one's called Study Hall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So with that all being said, he got covered up in 2021, and you did a relatively important. Every fucking couple I've ever known took photos in front of your mural. And it just recently, within the last week or so, got covered up.
Yeah.
So who commissioned you to do that, and did you do that for free? Was that just like a love collab?
Okay.
Or?
So Charm School, our friends at Charm School asked us to do that, the initial rendering of that, which was a
When did you first do that?
8 years ago.
Okay, so
9 years ago.
Okay. And then I'm sorry if I'm stomping on toes.
No, you're fine.
I'm not trying to interrupt you. You changed it. You put modifications on it, and I believe 2020 or
during the riots, during the uprisings.
during the riots. Okay.
Yeah.
And you modded out, I believe, the letter R and I. And,
all of it.
Oh, the whole thing.
We painted over everything.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I mean, so yeah.
Can you do me a favor and just break down for the listener within the word Richmond, what was it when you first did it? What were in the letters that you can remember, and what did you mod?
Yeah, so the initial one was they wanted a postcard to be a photo op for people who bought ice cream. And it worked really well.
God,
and
it worked
it really was like
everyone.
we would get tagged like 4 or 5 times a week by people that, it was like
surprised it was that
weddings, just people hanging out, like all sorts of stuff.
We just had Bobby from Vinyl Conflict on, and I remember that was like one of the staples and photos like of their wedding. They did it at Gallery 5, and they took all the photos in front of it.
It was definitely, it was a big eye catcher. And we had done a couple of other postcards before then, but like had not gotten one in Richmond. And then they approached us about doing it, and it was just kind of perfect. So so the initial one was like a pretty straightforward postcard. It had like the Carillon and Main Street Station and landmarks, Richmond landmarks. The only thing we didn't put in there was monuments because fuck them. But we had a pretty good layout, pretty straightforward, and then everything happened with the George Floyd protests and then the uprisings and then everyone we know getting tear gassed and the mayor lying. And it was right next to the police station. And we thought that Alex and everyone at Charm School might be into the concept that we were talking about, which was changing this and making it a new photo op for people that weren't feeling very supported by really anyone at that point. And it was really important. We wanted to try and get it in before it became something that people started doing to raise money. Because generally whenever anything bad happens, there's always
profit.
And there's always a way to grift. Even if it's well-intentioned, there's a way to enrich yourselves. And we specifically did not want to do that. I have a pretty long history here with if groups are generally aligned with me and need, protest signs and things like that done, I'll do them for free.
That's really nice.
And I felt the same way about this stuff and a few other activities that were done around MDP Circle. And, I tried to do a lot of things to help people out and to make people know that we saw them without making money or being in the newspaper.
Super
or
cool.
Getting a picture of myself taken, it was really important to us to just kind of be like, here, we see you guys, this is for you kind of thing. And so we got that done.
That's
Alex
so
was
sick.
awesome because like you said, that mural was extremely well loved and he just let us come fuck it up. We replaced it with.
You say fuck it up. I don't think you fuck it up. I think you
No. We fucked it up in the best way possible.
Yep.
And we gave Richmond the mural it deserved, honestly, at that point in time. It was always about things to see when visiting Richmond. And at that point in time, the things to see when you visited Richmond were barricaded police stations. There were cop cars on fire. There were monuments in the streets. And we wanted that up there. So we changed it all. And we didn't really say anything about it.
I just remember biking by it. I was going to the 4th Street police station and just occupying and being there. And I just remember coming back one day and I was like, wait a second, what?
Yeah.
And I busted a Yui.
Double take.
Yeah, we didn't.
Went back. I was like, oh my god.
We didn't say much about it.
You had my fucking the arm hair, my goosebumps. It's like holy shit. And I was wondering.
We had a couple of people reach out and like I said, we're not good business people very often. And on this one, specifically, we wouldn't do interviews or talk about it with anybody that hadn't been tear gassed with us. So
that's
that was really like, you know, so like
weed it out.
the student newspapers got the scoop on it. And then it was cool because then when it did get covered elsewhere, they quoted these student reporters that, you know,
more DIY.
Yeah,
That's so
that had
sick.
been there.
It's really smart, and that's very sweet
because
of you.
I mean, especially I think for all of the people that were involved with things around the circle at that time, it's like nobody really trusted anybody for good reason, outside of the people that they knew and the people that they saw in that space. So it didn't get noticed right away. And it was really kind of cool.
It got noticed perfectly.
And then, but I mean, man, there were so many weird, like 2 weeks later, maybe I redid because the windows, the gold windows that I'd done at Ledbury, which is like next door, got broken in like the second night. So they filed an insurance claim, had me come out, like fix this window or whatever. And I'm working on the window, and like I came around the corner at one point, and there was like 7 cops taking like fucking look how funny we are selfies with the fucking
in front
mural.
of it? Wow, what a bunch of dickwads.
Yeah.
What?
It was some fucking bullshit, and so I got to yell at a bunch of cops, which I'm sure they thought was hilarious because they spent the whole time just thinking we were really funny. But it's like that was never definitely wasn't for them. Definitely, I think a lot of people did love that it was there, that it really
you knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, it really, like, we weren't trying to.
You're just all that's. It's what we were living.
It's
exactly. Yeah, we just
documented
accurate reporting.
We just we just wanted to show it. We didn't want to fucking have a conversation with fucking anybody about anything.
This isn't fun anymore, and this is the reality of the situation.
And and I mean, because it was, I think that when we painted it was like right around the time that like the Stony like voice thing got leaked, where he was like telling the cops that he just didn't understand all these kids, and that he totally had their back, and then was coming out to try and talk to us too, and be like, oh no, you guys are great, like, well, I totally get it. So yeah, it was just it was like one of the worst times I ever had and one of the best times I ever had. Like, it was like a couple of months of like really feeling like I could like do something and like help people, offer material support, more than just like buying things,
but
fundraising.
You did do that though. Yeah.
It was like, it was cool, but it was also just like, so exhausting. And like, that was like a big, like, I think like a couple months later is when I quit drinking, because I was just like back in a like nighttime black hole.
Yeah. You didn't want to bottom out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people from that there's a few really tight friends of mine that stopped drinking and other things around that same time because of the same reason. I just remember, obviously, where we are geographically, we're not far from that.
Sure.
And so that was a really interesting time for me as well, because like that police station and the building that's right up the street, it was fucking weird, man. And I remember, like, I told you it was shitty. You're gonna fuck up your knees.
Just adjusting.
Like, I just remember, like, one morning I woke up with my partner at the time, and I was like, this can't be real. Like, this can't be real. Like, is that Alex Jones?
Yeah.
And he was on a fucking Hummer.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because they
right
came down
in front of this window.
Was that Lobby Day that they were here for?
No, it was for something else.
Something else? Yeah, I do remember that shit. Yeah.
But I remember looking out of this window, this hazy, like, that's not even glass. It's like plexi.
Yeah.
And I remember looking down and like rolling up those shitty blinds, and dust is getting all on my face, and I'm like, oh my fucking God, it's him. And he was in like an armored Hummer with all these dudes with either AKs or AR-15 would be more relevant or appropriate. That's the worst choice of wording. And I just was like, what is happening in my life? And like, we would leave here. I think maybe I've said this before, but like people's partners and whoever, like, they would leave here, and I would always escort them to their car, because I can fight, I can do some shit sometimes. And like, just right when we left, like, people would be like, oh, what is that, a safe space? What are y'all, snowflakes? And I'm like, this is the weirdest shit that
was
I've
weird
ever lived through. And we were like on the heart of it, and there were so many people that were hitting me up on Instagram or message or whatever. They're like, hey, so-and-so got their head split open by something, or this happened to
Yeah.
this person, or someone just needs to use the bathroom. So like, this was a very strange and scary place to live during all that, because we were just like letting the door open or letting it close and helping everyone we could, handing out waters, use the shower, use the bathroom, do this, that, and the other. It was fucking batshit nuts. So the reason I had brought up Night Owl and barf and all that and signs getting covered up, you have no clarity at all as to why your sign got covered up.
No, I mean, so the business that agreed to have it painted originally and have it altered, they've been gone at least 2 years from that location. There's a florist in there now. She's very nice. I did a window sign for her. She did not ask to have it painted over and didn't know it was being painted over. It's owned by the Ucrops
Family.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, they painted the whole building.
Okay, so maybe it was a facelift, or maybe it's just bad
but
timing.
they have my phone number.
Yeah.
You know, I've worked for them on Quirk Hotel. I've worked for them multiple times. I'm really honestly very surprised that like they didn't at least call and be like, hey, could we take this back to how it used to be?
How many hours of your time did you put into that total, do you think?
Oh, I mean, I think we painted the first one in 2 days and painted the alterations in a day. I am, compared to a lot of people, especially like people that specifically paint murals, I have a kind of a different outlook on the permanence of things like that, because I paint signs, and I paint things that generally are only of value to the business that's there. So I'm used to things going away. I kind of think that like if you want your artwork to last forever, the worst thing you can do is put it like on a business in a city. You know, there's a lot of things that can happen there. There's a lot of hands that change. You know, we're never contracting with the building owner because so few businesses go into buildings that they actually own at this point. So it's like if that business goes away and they paid for a mural, but then a new business comes in and they don't want it, it can go. You know, like the ownership gets kind of tricky. Plus, it's outside. Like I said, like you know. I don't want to see what something I did would look like in 25 years. You know, like I hope it's something new by then, or they call me and have me redo it or make it new. So, you know, it's a bummer. It's a bummer that it's gone. I'm more upset about this one being gone than anything else that I've done.
For sure.
And honestly, I just wish somebody had told us. Like, you know, I think if they were just painting the whole building, like whatever, that's fine. Call and be like, hey, so that, you know, we're going to paint over this mural. Or when other people call after it becomes a public thing, answer the phone and explain why it got painted over.
I think your posts like covering it were really brilliant. And yeah, it's just kind of alarming. And I'm not trying to like stir up a bee's nest, but it's just pretty weird timing.
That's the thing. It's like it's a really, really terrible time to cover something like that and not comment on it when you do it, because it makes it, like I said, it could very well just be like they were like, this whole building needs a whole new coat of paint, the mortar's going bad in this brick, like who knows. But when you do it in the midst of like
convenient time,
everyone making up like, you know, weird DEI arguments about everything, and then you cover up this particular mural, it's kind of a bad look.
It's a little bit of a bad look.
Yeah. But yeah, I have no idea why it went away. I just know that it went away at the worst possible time.
Fuck. Thank you so much for doing this, and I know you gotta get back to the little man fast food homie, and
no worries.
I really, really appreciate you for doing this, and I respect your work. It's at Sure Hand Signs. I mean, shit, I think we did it.
Right?
Yeah.
Like seriously, Ross, thank you so
Yeah,
much.
of course.
I just now noticed your shirt. It's beautiful.
Oh,
That's great.
Cool.
I wore this on a Zoom meeting with some really old ladies today. It's like like in the screen, and I was like, ah, fuck.
Could you see him?
Yeah. No, I don't think they could. I could barely read it, so I'm sure they couldn't. But they were having a meeting about doing another postcard in some fucking Eastern Shore town with
sweet.
like two like older like librarian looking ladies who were very nice. And I was just like,
I hope you're okay.
yeah, it's like them all dressed up, and then it's like me and Mike on screens with like, you know,
I
kind
have
of going
a
like this.
sticker that just, it's a bumper sticker that just says this.
Uh-huh.
And it's funny, man. Like, I'll see, especially when I see like dads and kids or moms and kids, they'll pull up and I'll see the kid like, and I'll see like the mom or the dad like, watch more.
Yeah.
And like they'll kind of talk, but really, really small print. I have a sticker that says "Suck my dick, Dracula." And like I noticed a mom and a son the other day. They're like, "Watch more horror movies." Yeah, and then he's like, "Wait," and I could see them in my rear view, both like, and the kid's like, and the mom's like, "No, no."
That's good.